This gentle curl of the edge, bitter colour dripped away, and the grip loose like a tooth. This weight accumulating, heavy head. Sun doesn't pull anymore, hanging over earth. This letting go till the last, fully unfurled. It's just the falling of a flower. That's all. Just the falling of a flower. Hello. Welcome to Friday afternoon poetry show. Number 27, I think. Hope you're well. Whoever's out there. I've been reading these poems, not these poems, some poems, every other day throughout this year. And I did a fair bit last year too. It's kept me going. I think it's kept some friends going. Perhaps it'll keep you going too. I don't know what the theme of today's is. They're not dressed up in fairy tale and mythology as so many of mine are. They are in many ways feel rooted in the reality of me, for what that's worth. But they are pretty disparate. And so if there is a theme to it, I don't know what it is. Perhaps is there a theme to this? So here's me reading some poems, and in a bit I'll introduce somebody else too, and I'll read some of theirs too. I have a strange conundrum with my hearing. I hear things, of course I hear things. There's sound and there's noise and stuff. At the same time, this one doesn't work hardly at all. And I miss so much, especially in noisy, crowded places. When there's another sound to be heard, I don't know, maybe it's not even the mechanics, maybe it's something in my brain. All the way I think, if there's another noise to be heard, that seems to dominate when I'm trying to hear what you're saying. I can't call myself deaf, but there are certainly things that I miss, and I don't know what to make of it. This deafness is not a metaphor. Sometimes what you say is lost in the noise. Like, I can see the wall and not you behind, and all the noise in the world is a wall. Sometimes what you say is lost in the ocean, and it's part of the ocean, and it's in the waves, and I can't hear what you say above the ocean. Sometimes what you say must be the only thing to be heard, and I will not hear it otherwise. Your saying it is not enough, and shouting's worse. So lead me where there is nothing else to hear. You can take my hand if you wish, or my ear, and speak as if the whole world is listening. Peculiar thing, I've had it since I was at least a teenager, if not before. We find strategies to cope with, don't they? Don't they? Because truth is silent. You should know this. Before you speak, put silence in your words. Forget all you've heard. What you seek is in What falls unbroken? The sound of the heart, aloud. The presence of the thing unspoken. Echoes of the chamber in another's chest. Fingertip touch, so much louder. You know this. The great unsaid. Truth is heard, never shouted. Silent, not silent. And going from what we hear to what we see. That's why it's called a sight. Sometimes my eyes must stagger up, and sometimes they're awake before I am. But always they're on the lookout for something. Sometimes they're telling me what they see in spite of all in front of them. Sometimes they fix on what's behind. I don't trust what I see. Those eyes of mine can be too insistent. Look where the light settled, shiny surfaces. They forget how empty they are. I don't trust my eyes. They won't look at me. Always turned away. We take in more than we know, but it depends how we look at it. A sight. How are we doing out there? Feel free to leave comments or give a wave or say hello if you want. I often don't know who's there otherwise. This one's from earlier this year. It's called Nightmare, and it was trying to capture some of what I've just woken up from. Not so much the subject of it, but the feeling that it produced, and the being aware of being frightened and wanting to get out of it, and struggling to get out of it. How big and huge it felt when I was in it. Nightmare. I was scratching on the inside of my mind to get out, to wake up, to have that thing on the far side of the room somewhere else. I was scratching on the smooth side of the glass for a sound, for a breath that would give me means to break this sleep apart and leave. As I struggled, pushing noise up the hill, little roar, little terror, like the only way to fight was to shout myself alive in the waking world. It felt like hours of approach, of its coming close, lips of rock, teeth nailed shut, all the while coming near, no means to move, to run, to smack myself awake. My voice caught at a cord and pulled, a squealing of emergency, a call, exhuming me from sleep, bent in thought. All those hours underneath, found the world had not heard, had barely shifted time at all. Nightmare. I've already had my birthday this year. Nice to get it over with, I suppose. It was a slightly stressful time of remembered birthdays that were fairly disappointing, and the dread of being disappointed again when you want to be like the belle of the ball and the one special person in all the world. Well, you might not run TV, I often feel that way. But I had a lovely response from everybody. It was quite joyful. Online, of course, I mean, so we couldn't see each other, but it was certainly very heartwarming. And at the end of it, I wrote this one called Birthday Party. I'll cry in a bit, because after a party, the empty room has a moment that hurts. Though threads of the warmth of you all still hang like smoke, and crumbs of goodwill so much that it spilled from the finger bowls, stuck on the side of my lip, and the songs we sang are still bothering neighbours. I'm glad I'm not drunk yet enough to forget. So I will drop a little tear as I empty the beer and the wine and the soft shuffle dances. The last kiss of the close of the door, leaving the room for hush and gratitude. Same time next year, which your turn soon. How was it for you? Take a breath. Another. Birthday party. As you can see, they're fairly jumping about. There's no through line between them as far as I can tell. Perhaps you can see. But through these readings, I've been choosing, when I can, to read some poems by a friend in lieu of having a special guest. Poems that they've had published in books and similar, and sharing them with you. And today I want to read some as well from a poet I very much admire, although we haven't had much time to talk as yet. One called Amy Acre, and this is the one I'm going to read from. Where we're going, we don't need roads. Which just comes from Flap, I think it's called. On the Flap series, anyway, published by, I have to find out, I can't quite tell. No, Flap, yeah, the Flap pamphlet series. Where we're going, we don't need roads. So 2 poems by Amy. She doesn't know I'm doing this, so I hope she doesn't mind. The first of which is called You're a Good Person Sometimes. You are running because running makes you good, and because sometimes running feels good. You are running because you are a hairy, muscle-wrapped animal built to move and bellow and beat your chest. You are running to feel your mass smash against the empty air, leave stegosaur footprints. Take lane and hill and row and wood for your own, without piss or palms in cement. You are running from the safety of stillness, the betrayals of your own body. The person you love who knows so well what you'll say next, they no longer hear it. You speed unstumbling over paving cracks, used pain to cut your metal so sleek, it could be someone else's. You're a Good Person Sometimes, by Amy Acre. And the second one by her, from her pamphlet here. You can be your own mother. Stella was born at 27. No burning wet mess of sperm fucking egg met her conception. Instead, it started with a child's first sweep of mascara. Tiny feet cuddled into mum's stiletto pumps. And after 20 years of gestation, out she came. Vertigo legs, T-bone hair and all. Stella was applied, layer by moth-wing fine layer. She, made of sugar paper, of stardust, of coal, all meticulously sewn into place. Cartilage, handcrafted, nipples applique, the stitching flawless. She rose out of a shell when she came. Empire State heart and restoration waist out in one big push. Some people forget their own mind, name, but not Stella. She'd always known, even before kisses, even at family Christmases when they still called her. The seed of her lay under tongue, waiting to come through. You can be your own mother. Quite lovely. Those two by Amy Acre. Her pamphlet, Where We're Going, We Don't Need Roads. I know she's written and published a great deal more, and she's half of Bad Betty Press, so she publishes other people's as well. So, to return to me, let's have a look, see if there's any messages come. Like I say, I can't always tell until afterwards whether who's watched or if anybody's watched or if they've said anything or... No, I can't tell if there's any messages at all now. Not mine. It could be that I'm the only one here. This is a poem called Least Resistance. You affect me deeper than I mean you to. So I wait till you've gone, and the door can catch me, strong-armed. You are more present than I can carry. You overlap me. Two of us in the same space. Only time can save me. I realize I am not holding back. I am falling before the onslaught, dispatched by your taking breath after breath. And I write my surrender on this piece of paper, hidden slyly behind your back, tucked below your pillow as you sleep. Least resistance. Okay, here's a theme. From that sleep to this sleep. This one's called Sleep Deep. Sleep. Thunder deep, my darling. Sleep like the surf building, like the wave breaking. Sleep like the winter sun, knowing she is coming into strength. Sleep like the ancient matriarch has held you, like your own lover has held you. Sleep like a kiss calling you home. Sleep like your wisdom, your whole wisdom knows you. Sleep till your belly settles where she should. Sleep till you do not know what holds you. Sleep till the thick horizons turn to blackbirds flying. Sleep till the hooks turn to water from the snow. Sleep till the aches turn to freshly baked and rising. Until you rise, well water from the spring, untravelled water looking for a place to flow. Sleep, thunder deep, my darling, sleep. Yes, there is a link, sleep to sleep, and then this one too. This happened the first time we didn't sleep together. Perhaps it's my sweat in the bed keeps me out of it. Perhaps it's the lack of temperature. Perhaps it's the light hasn't dripped from my eye yet. Perhaps it's your face, which is his face and also her face. Perhaps it's the words nailed inside my skull. There's an echo like a metro in my bone, perhaps. If I spit it here, like a God's truce, draw it like an opening upon the page, perhaps, if you were here, in this darkness, and I would be real, and you would not be with him. Perhaps if I walk, find a cup of tea. I think I have 1, 2, possibly 3 more to read you today. This poem's called You Know It Makes No Sense, but it does. And I'm still not sure what sense it makes. Can only read it, dive into it and see what it says. I've blacked my eyes out with crayon, stuffed them with wool. Only my thoughts in this room with me. I can stand, feel my feet pushed away by the floor. I could be hanging upward, dangling. Why, light, do you insist on my dependence? I drop you, shatter you, smack upon the ground. Oh, these many shades of comforting dark, dancing figures with all the right organs. Warmth is a push on my back. On the inside, pulled to a new breath, taken by a heart. If I fall now, it'll let me. You know it makes no sense, but it does. Yes. 2 more. The set list for this will be shared in the comments afterwards, once I know what I actually did. And I'll put a link into the comments also for the one I did a couple of days ago. Totally different set of poems. And you can find them on my profile. Oh, dozens of poems in videos and recordings, if you fancy hearing more. This one's called Too Clever to Despair. And me, a failing adult, looking for mercy where there's none. I knew my strongest, knew my fastest, knew my howl become a roar, become mother-like, to ring around the mountains, touch the sky. And me to scoop my children as a god figure laughing. Now my arms are falling. and the judgment brought upon me. You're so grand, how can you be uncertain when we small things are scared? And me so insignificant, why does the world creak so in my bones, cross-like with my weight? All the ones below believing I could step down if I weren't so selfish. Cleverness a fraud. And you in need of saving from your need to be saved. I have no feet to walk, no hands. So this is the last. And then I'll leave you. But I thank you for being with me through this set of poems. I hope you've enjoyed one, two, maybe a few of them. Like I say, please leave comments if you want to. This last, well, I tell you, it began with me thinking about the things, well, waking up, thinking, oh, here's a thought, here's a poem needs writing, and almost begrudging the compulsion to grab a pen and write something else, if only to quieten my brain. And so in part it's about that, but more than that, it applies beyond to anybody who feels compelled to just follow their purpose with all the doubts and assurances that might bring. For some reason I've called it Up. Let me tell you about the work. It takes up my life like a full cauldron simmering on the heart. And they gathered round. Moon comes when they do. It takes up my life like a fulcrum, harder than an elbow, with all its accoutrements. Their legs hardly touch the ground. It takes up my life like a fool's game, stepping over edges, over all the dead, feeding bones to my dog. Let me tell you about the work. And then you can tell me how to stop, how to bathe, how to let the stars fall instead. That it's worth what it takes.